Good morning, distinguished colleagues, participants of MINEX Forum. I am happy to welcome all of you at the city, and I am thankful to the organizers. And I would like to use a chance and extend my congratulations on Geologist Day and wish you safe and result-fulfilled season. Now we are living in the conditions of a new season. Kazakhstan president started demonopolization of economy, while mining is a key sector for the economy, and all the challenges we observe, especially the challenges in the sphere of sanctions against Russia, represent challenges and difficulties and new opportunities. More than 1,000 licenses have been presented for geological exploration. Some companies are in the procedure of listing in foreign markets at Toronto and London. That represents new opportunity for servicing companies, scientific community, human capital development, and economic development in Kazakhstan. The chair of Committee of Geology, representative Committee on Geology, is going to speak. Director General of Zhanat Karibayev is going to speak. Anna Fardel and Director of Mineral Resources of Uzbekistan Azim John is going. Alex Polke, Director of Istak Resources, and Oleg Telnoy, Business Development Director, and Nariman Absametov, Investment Director of Resources Capital Group.
So-called budget for follow-up studies and exploration is 12 billion tenge. The minister made an announcement that the majority of deposits will be available soon in Kazakhstan. The committee focuses on further exploration and also to prevent the situation first come, first served, and to replace it by the auction mechanism. So I have a question: when you plan to complete this work, and are there any new plans on how you are going to operate further? I think we have the chairperson with us online, and we will pass the floor to him to answer these questions. This question.
Oil, gas and condensate. So general minerals, more than 3,000 and more than 4,000 of deposits of underground water. Distribution of hydrocarbons reserves, balance reserves of oil in the Republic of Kazakhstan on categories A, B, C, and C2 make 4.4 billion tons, gas 3.8 trillion cubic meters, condensates 420.5 million tons. The majority of the reserves are concentrated at Aterao, 75%, and in Mangostau regions, which make 11%. And at the same time, about 70% of reserves of hydrocarbons fall on the three biggest deposits, Tengiz, Kashagan, and Karachaganak. As for accounting of solid minerals is based on 65 types of non-metal minerals and 37 types of metallic minerals. The most priority ones are gold, copper, lead, zinc. On the slide you can see the distribution of the reserves on the regions. The state balance accounts 359 deposits of gold with total reserves of 2,400 tons, including 917 tons, which is 38%, are concentrated in the East Kazakhstan region at Akmala, 450 tons or 19%, and 365 tons at Karaganda region, which has 15% of copper reserves in total make 38.3 million tons, including 17 million tons in eastern Kazakhstan and 14.2 million tons concentrated in the central region. The key reserves of lead and zinc deposits are mostly concentrated in central, eastern and southern Kazakhstan. As for the distribution of explored underwater reserves in country, we have more than 400 deposits of underground reserves with approved 400 cubic meters per day. The reserves are unevenly distributed, so 50% are concentrated in the southern region, 30% in central, northern and eastern regions, and less than 20% in the western part of Kazakhstan. As a result of geological operations, last year, for the first time, 38 deposits have been included in state balance, including hydrocarbons 8 deposits, solid minerals 22 deposits, underground water 8 deposits. The promising mining regions for solid minerals. In Kazakhstan, we have significant prospects for new discoveries of solid minerals. Golden ore deposits at Kostanay and Akmala regions, territories of central, eastern and southern regions. The new lead and zinc deposits can be discovered in central and southern Kazakhstan, at Rudny-Altai and in the bordering regions with Russia and China. We have prospects to discover new deposits for other ore-based minerals. To attract private investments, the government performs early stages of working as one of amount of private investments depends on the level of study of subsoil. A regional geological study is the basis of a governmental geological study, and it is carried out to gain comprehensive geological geophysical information, which is a fundamental base for a geological study of the territory of the Republic and forecasting of the deposits in the subsoil. Considering modern trends of global market and increased demand for rare and rare earth elements, special attention is given to identification of prospect areas for these types of raw materials. And then briefly, national project has been approved. National project provides for increase in annual budget spending for regional geological surveys. They include additional geological surveys of areas and geological mapping. Total area of survey in national project will exceed 684,000 square kilometers. So I would like to note that I will issue the atlas of solid minerals that would contain total and updated information on geological structure of the country with recommendation on prospecting and discoveries of solid minerals deposits. And the methods of ore objects will be provided. It will be kind of a guidelines for geologists and investors. It would allow identify the model of distribution of solid minerals deposits, and appropriate recommendations will be given to possible investors. After a long break, we are starting implementing an international work on Eurasia project. As for now, we are reinterpreting and reprocessing the historic geological data using modern technologies, and in the future, after we get this data, we will carry out 2D seismic survey as well as other field operations, and that will result into the drilling of super deep hole up to 15 meters that would allow us to study geological section and assess the potential of the basin for hydrocarbons. The program We have 1,115,000 square kilometers, and we also working with countering of reserve deposits, and then 259,000 square kilometers will be provided for subsoil use. We believe that in July, after countering works are finished, the entire territory will be available. At the same time, we have difficulties with contouring that are related to access to geographic coordinates and systems of coordinates and so on. So a lot of work is being carried out nowadays with the participation of specialists from different professions, and I would like also to mention Zhanat Karibayev mentioned that these efforts are being taken, and within the framework of information system, we plan to development the system with automation of business processes in subsoil use sphere. In consortium, we developed and demonstrated modules of National Bank of Data, including automation of business processes of license issuance for exploration and mining of different categories. And at the same time, the Ministry of Digital Development, Ministry of Energy, and Ministry of Industry, and our ministry were together developing the issue on establishment of uniform platform for subsoil Kazgeology through combination and migration of all existing information system in subsoil use GIS, NBD, and other systems. Sorry, time pressing. And actually all the processes will be included in the system. As for National Geological Service, in principle, it has been mentioned, we got a task to establish national service and on the basis of some subsidiary organization, but we have also studied the international experience on this regard, and within the framework of governmental program, we identify the leaders of the different. We identify the leaders, also leading companies in geology and exploration, and this effort has been carried out, and their works are in process, and I hope it will give additional incentives for the development of the region's infrastructure, where we plan to establish modern core storage facilities and information facilities. And we will be able to receive modern geological information. As for the reforms, we will consider distribution of platforms. Unfortunately, the sound is very poor, that does not allow for translation. The committee is open for any proposals, any suggestions, and we are happy to welcome all investors, both governmental and private. Thank you very much. Floor is provided to senior geologists of Kazgeology. Good morning, distinguished colleagues. Good morning, distinguished participants. First of all, I would like to wish you successful work at this forum, which is very important for all of us, for the workers and participants of mining business and geology. And I would like to extend my congratulations on Geologist Day and wish you successful field season and new discoveries. And now I would like to share about the operations of the company, a joint stock company, National Geological Exploration Company, Kazgeology, please. So as to save time, I would like to remind you, and all of you are aware, that Kazakhstan, in terms of its territory, is rated as 9th biggest country in the world and has significant mineral base. But the territory is not sufficiently studied and still keeps secrets and opportunities for discovery of minerals deposits. Kazakhstan possesses significant prospects to discover new significant deposits like ore, like gold, can be discovered in central and southern Kazakhstan and in bordering territories with Russia and China. Also, we have prospects for discovering new deposits for other ores minerals. First of all, tungsten, molybdenum, aluminium, and rare earth metals and lithium. On the map that you can see on the screen, this is the distribution of minerals that can be discovered in Kazakhstan. It's not a secret, but just to inform you, the company was established after the task of the president and announced in 2016. And the resolution on establishment of the company was issued in June 2011. The key task of Kazgeology is the implementation of regional geological exploration, resulting in identification of prospect areas with assessment of resources and assessment of unbalanced reserves up to industrial category C2, ensuring industrial attractiveness of the objects that then will be transferred to commercial environment. To resolve geological exploration tasks, the company possesses its own facilities that include 6 drilling rigs, 2 multifunctional self-propelling drilling machines, and also the company procured geophysical equipment for on-the-ground surveys. And we have 4 exploration teams as well as 2 magnetic exploration teams. And we have also 2 surveying teams. In 2020, we established together with Australian company Geochemical Laboratory at Karaganda. And now you see that the company provides a lot of geological services, starting with core preparing. And on the next slide, you see that Kazgeology is not trying to capture services market, but its aim is to develop sector of geology in general. And the next slide proves it, that shows that Kazgeology attracts specialized geological exploration companies subcontractors for governmental and commercial projects. Now you see the breakdown of the regions. I would like to tell that in the period from 2012 to 16, the total amount of investments exceeded 80 billion tenge. Within investment activities, the company implements 44 investment projects together with such companies Dream Holding, Creatinga, polymetals and Kazakhstani companies as Kazakmys Corporation, Kazzinc, and some junior companies. Total volume of investment within this project exceeded 69.5 billion tenge. At the same time, Kazgeology is preparing promising projects for operations and prospecting for different solid minerals. On this slide, you see the growth of the volumes of geological exploration implemented under state tasks, and in total they achieved 17 billion tenge worth. In the most recent 5 years, we observed the increase in resources and reserves. All this data are available in the reports and submitted to Committee on Geology. Considering the interest of lithium and rare earths, in 2016 we developed the proposal in Program of Geological Efficient Development for lithium that identifies the deposit prospect for geological exploration. For several projects, operations have been started. In 2016-2018, we assessed the prospects for identification of rare earth elements for main or provinces of Kazakhstan, and entire territory of the Republic was covered with surveys. Drilling operation, mining works were carried out existing prospect areas in the territories of 8 regions of the country. The set of work starting from remote earth sensing, geological mining, drilling of discovery holes allowed us to generalize, analyze, and classify geological information on the deposits of rare earths. We established a database on the deposit of rare and rare earth elements, including 800 objects. For some objects, we calculated probable resources for categories 2, and that allowed us to increase forecasted resources of the deposits. And for PT3 in central Kazakhstan, in the area of Central Massif. According to those recommendations, 2021, after the order of the Committee of Geology, we developed the projects for the following geological operations. These sections were placed in 8 regions, and in 2022, in some of these objects, a competition is announced and a geological exploration is planned. The company will participate in some of these projects. We are prepared to cooperation with any companies both in the operations and data analysis. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your detailed report. And at the same time, we know that we have a task of a president to establish National Geological Service. And one of the tasks is to create national database. So all these issues, Zhanat Karibayev will explain on how National Geological Service will work, how National Geology will be connected to Kazgeoinform, what it will do with geological unit, and whether it will be competing with business or another approach will be used. So the floor is provided to Zhanat Karibayev from Kazgeoinform.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Happy to welcome you at this forum. Let me give you an overview on the national operator. As you know, Kazakhstan in its reserves. As you know, in terms of its mineral reserves and diversity, is included into the top 100 leaders. According to the Article 72 of the new environmental of the new subsoil code, geological data is the ownership of the government. Republican Geological Fund was established in 1930 and is a unique collection of materials and data on geological exploration works, totaling up to 58,000 geological reports and about 500,000 volumes of books and files with different graphics applications. Our company is a joint stock company, 100% owned by the government, but not funded by the government. So we actually operate to earn, and therefore we apply such principles as clients' orientation, availability of data. Most of our services are available on a fee basis, both to legal entities and private individuals. The structure of our operation is regulated by the subsoil code. We are subordinate of the Geological Committee of the Ministry of Environment, Geology and Natural Resources, and collection of data and use of the data is defined by the Kazakh law. We have representative offices in all regions in the country, including Almaty, Aktobe, Karaganda, Ust-Kamenogorsk, and Kokshetau, split it into different regions where you can obtain geological data and reports. The Republican Center of Geological Information was established in June 2018 and, according to the Minister's order, is a national operator on collection, maintenance, and provision of information and data. First, we are responsible for system-based collection of data. Second, maintenance and storage, digitalization, modeling. And number four, future steps on obtaining this data by applicants. We make copies of geological data available about the availability of deposits, information about historical data, characteristics of deposits such as underground water, and also some other maps and analysis. Here is a list of our services and products that we offer. This includes geological data packages split by topics and so on. Here is a slide which shows our publications, and this includes guidebooks on deposits, on minerals, maps, analytical overviews, information bulletins, information references, and many others. Here is a step-by-step procedure of how one can obtain geological data, which is available and which is owned by the government. Again, this procedure is established by the law, by the regulation. You can see the steps here, how you can obtain this data. One of the most popular products includes packages, and there are three types of them: basic, extended, and premium. Basic is about 30% of all requests that we receive. Extended package includes information and data that is analyzed and processed and have some limited availability to a wider public. And there is a premium package, which is a fully prepared package of geological data in the form of a plan for exploration of minerals and resources, which is in the form of a project and which includes the plan of mining work on production of minerals with fully digitalized information. Packages on geological data are formed on the basis of applications. It means that anyone who is interested have the right to apply for specific sets of pieces of information and data, which also includes the deposits which are available in accordance with the program, with the national program for hydrocarbons and hard minerals. And one of the principles how the packages are developed. Just 1 second. 1 minute. 1 minute only left. This slide shows an interactive map of the Geological Committee. Our company maintains this map, and it reflects all types of deposits, all types of minerals, territories subject to study, and the program of subsoil management. It has a lot of digital tools, and you can use it to surf and find information. At the same time, we provide information in the form of conclusion on availability or absence of certain resources. Nowadays, we have more than 8,000 deposits that are covered on hydrocarbons, hard minerals, and underwater. We also offer services on providing information of availability of certain blocks or deposits. Here, I'd like to note that in order to develop a single platform, the ministry, the different ministries made a decision to implement a database in the form of a national data bank on the platform Kazgeology company on the basis of all products integrated between each other, including the national data bank or database in accordance with the step 75 of the National Development Plan. I think you heard before about this system, which will be available in the form of interactive map, automated business processes for subsoil users and for the government, a single stop shop. We continue to develop this project, and this is part of our national plan with the deadline established for this year. To conclude, I'd like to say a couple of words about the National Geological Service development. So the National Database and Geological Service. So the establishment of the National Geological Service on the basis of subordinate organization, which includes basically two companies, Republican Center for Geological Data and the use of the national database. The National Database of Mineral Resources, focusing on systematization and maintenance of data in coordination with other institutions, R&Ds, and other agencies in this sector. According to this provision in the program, it is proposed to define Kazgeoinform into the Geological Service with 100% ownership of the government, and then the National Kazgeology Company to merge with us. The major activities of this service would include the key products will be the program for the state reserves management in coordination with R&Ds, different types of research and analysis in this sector in geology, and also focusing on the transfer of new technologies, drafting of recommendations for the stakeholders, development of R&Ds, and many other things. Briefly, I concluded and finished my presentation on the operation, on how the national operator works. Thank you very much.
Now let us listen about the capacity of lithium production. I believe that lithium of production and lithium potential is not untapped, as these reserves are secret. Several times were announced about the opening of data on rare earth elements programs, and Anna Fardal will share about lithium capacity of Kazakhstan.
Good morning, distinguished colleagues. I look forward to talking to you today about the potential for lithium extraction in Kazakhstan, and I hope this presentation will spark many more conversations on this topic over the course of this conference. Everyone is aware that lithium is a critical metal for the green economy, and it is clearly now a strategic mineral for many countries. Since the middle of 2021, the lithium price has increased dramatically, never more so than the last 4 months, over which it has almost doubled due to the high demand in the markets. Increasing global demand means it is critical for Kazakhstan to secure its own future in green technologies by understanding and developing lithium deposits within its jurisdiction. The increase in car manufacturing in Kazakhstan and planned introduction of electrical vehicle manufacturing indicates that now is a critical time to put in place a strategic national plan to develop the lithium mining industry. In my presentation, I will briefly describe the types of lithium deposit and the greatest opportunities for Kazakhstan in terms of developing lithium resources. Globally, lithium is incredibly widespread, and it occurs in significant quantities in many countries. The largest resources are generally concentrated in the lithium triangle of Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina, and are hosted in cellars. However, the resources of Kazakhstan, although relatively small compared to other countries on this slide, are still significant. In general, there are 4 broad types of economic lithium deposits that have been classified and developed worldwide, and these should be investigated in Kazakhstan. They are firstly perialkaline and periluminous granite-related pegmatites and their associated metasomatic rocks, which includes grisons such as Wabuchi and Kinovec. Secondly are lithium-rich clays, such as the hectorite clays derived from volcanic deposits and found in the southwest USA and Mexico. Thirdly, salars and brines, which are evaporite-related deposits, and this also extends to include yadarite, which is a lithium clay mineral, and existing surface deposits such as the Salton Sea. And fourthly, which is not mentioned overly on this slide, is geothermal deposits, which are concentrations of lithium in old industrial waters, which includes oil field brines. The graph on this slide shows the relative tonnage and grade of selected different deposit types. They show that the brines are generally low grade, but can be some of the biggest tonnage deposits, followed by lithium clay, which are slightly higher in grade, and then to the pegmatites, which are the highest grade mineralization that we currently mine. This map shows some of the known lithium deposits in Kazakhstan, and they broadly fall into two kind of deposit types according to my last breakdown. There are the granite-related deposits, which here are the pink dots, which are quartz-associated, and also the blue over in the southeast, and then also the blue in the southeast are pegmatites, which are associated with other rare metals, and in the northwest, lithium is associated with tungsten, tantalum, and niobium. And in most of these situations, the lithium is actually mined as a byproduct, rather than the principal primary metal for the mine. This diagram shows the genetic deposit model for the granite-associated lithium mineralization, broadly based on the granites of Cornwall and southwest England. These deposits are associated with evolved continental crust-dominated magmas, and the prospective areas in Kazakhstan, as I previously described, for pegmatite deposits are around the existing known belts in the southeast and northwest, and are generally associated with other rare metal elements. However, in the southeast, all the best deposits have been historically mined and exhausted, and now anything that we currently have is seen as marginal. In terms of lithium clay deposits, there are no existing examples of them in Kazakhstan that have been identified, although we do know of lithium clay deposits in neighbouring Uzbekistan. These are highly weathered volcanosedimentary sequences where weathering has enriched the lithium in the rocks, and they're mainly associated again with the same magmas that I described, perialkaline, periluminous magmas that have been intensely weathered. This next slide shows the genetic model for the deposition of salars and associated brine deposits. These are evaporite deposits that actively form in environments like the Aral Sea, where sediments derived from uplifted belts are actively deposited in low areas, and the salts are naturally concentrated through evaporation. As previously mentioned, the Aral Sea and the surrounding area are the most prospective for lithium salar deposits. These include all the dried and drying lakes in western Kazakhstan and the Chu River Basin, and these are very low-grade deposits. So unless they're at surface and can be extracted through solution mining, they're not considered very prospective. Now, if we just revisit this map of earlier, in general, we'll look at where the brines are typically concentrated, and you can see that the best brines are actually concentrated in the oil fields of West Kazakhstan and the northern Caspian. Exact Solar, a company that has been investigating lithium within this area, have determined that within these regions, the oil brines contain between 50 milligrams per litre to 30,000 milligrams per litre. Thank you. However, in these regions, the prospective areas are already covered by license and operators for other commodities, and the lithium deposits are not evaluated and on the state balance. So just briefly, I want to summarise the advantages and challenges of extracting these types of brines. Within these fields, there's a lot of historical geochemical data from existing operations in uranium and oil fields that we can use to analyse this potential, and even operations that are extracting brines that can be tested. Extracting brines generally includes much lower operating and infrastructure costs than hard rock mines, and much lower water use. New processing methods can be employed, such as direct lithium extraction, which means that evaporation ponds are no longer required, and ion exchange resins extract the lithium directly from the brine before it can be re-injected. Also, Kazakhstan has incredibly skilled labour in place to exploit these type of deposits, given its very developed uranium in situ leach and an oil and gas industries. The main challenges that present in extracting these deposits are the ones previously mentioned, that the licenses are owned by other commodity operators, and the brine deposits have not been evaluated or put on the state balance, which means they're low priority or completely unknown and not incorporated into regional development plans. These aspects combined don't make brines an attractive environment for junior explorers, because the only way to access them is to go into joint ventures with existing operators. So in conclusion, it's not unrealistic that Kazakhstan can strategically build a lithium extraction industry in the short to medium term. It's a very real possibility that using existing data, a skilled labour force, and existing infrastructure in areas of oil and uranium extraction, lithium can be produced from brine and geothermal deposits. New, faster, greener methods of processing have the potential to help Kazakhstan achieve its energy transition goals for the future, sustain local economies in areas of historical extraction, and support a growing car manufacturing industry. The government can assist by making this a priority and engaging with existing operators and licence holders to maximise the recovery of all metals extracted in the oil and uranium fields, and further encourage the evaluation of lithium by explorers by publishing the available data on lithium brines. Thank you for listening.
Спасибо большое, госпожа.
Thank you, Ms. Fardell. I was just corrected by Zhanat Karibayev, and the data on lithium are no longer confidential. Now let us move on. Reforms in the neighboring Uzbekistan cause a lot of admiration. I recently visited Uzbekistan. We are getting active there. Our next speaker, Mr. Azimjon Kholikov, Director of the Institute of Mineral Resources, who is going to speak about the prospects for the future. Dear colleagues, development strategy of geo-exploration works in Uzbekistan until 2026 on extension of the search of new reserves, new deposits of ferrometals and rare metals and precious metals and underwaters, as well as hydrocarbons, is developed in accordance with the bylaws of the Cabinet of Ministers. The strategy defines the volume of the key geological exploration works, indicators of the surplus of reserves and resources of solid minerals, hydrocarbon, underground waters for the prospects, indicators of financing of geological exploration works, split by years, a roadmap on speed up of geo-exploration works. We envisage different types of approaches and technologies to apply: electricity, geophysics, spectrometry, mass spectrometry, and many others to cover the territory, totaling 18,000 square kilometers. And geophysics works are enabled through modern technologies, which also includes renewal and update of the mapping data, and to make the database available for further phases of the work, to assess and estimate natural resources and reserves, and also to provide forecasts for the future. geophysics in terms of hydrocarbon reserves. We see the chart here with the estimates, which will total in 90 readily made structures for these resources. We pay special attention to deep drill works and particularly focusing on those minerals that are in high demand in the local market. We pay special attention to the geological works in the mountain regions. We particularly focus on the field works and approaches to express analysis to improve investment attractiveness. We provide some benefits such as reduced royalty. In this table, you see how we split them based on the categories of metals and resources. We also focus on transparency and reliability of the data, and also blocks annual updates of permissions, guaranteed approaches to protection of environment. We work with specialists and companies. Here is a list of our foreign partners, including USGS, SRK Consulting, MTA, KGAM, and Geology, as well as other companies with whom we work. We also work to improve the public services in geology, to reduce some human factor, to prevent from corruption factor, to improve transparency, and to reduce the deadlines, the time required for different permits. I specifically wanted to emphasize that in each geological services, both in public and private sector, in the ministries, we face the issue of skilled employees. We've been working on it for quite a long time, and we are able to offer a unique solution for the industry. We created the University of Geological Sciences, and starting from 2021, we also opened the branches of the Italian University and Moscow State University. Between 2021 to 2022 to 26, we plan to have 2,000 graduates. We also have the Institute of Geophysics, which is focusing on fundamental geology, Institute of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas, and Hydrogeology. We have 540 scientific workers in these universities, with 30 persons who hold PhDs, and we plan within a 5-year period to double this amount of professionals. According to the results of work of the mining companies, we have a lot of waste accumulated in the country, and we have many deposits awaiting technologies and solutions to address this problem. We also established centers of geo-innovative technologies. We're working with the concept is developed by Turkish and Korean experts. What we expect from this strategy? We expect to perform state contracts on the surplus of resources and reserves, including gold, uranium, rare metals, wolframium, polymetals, airborne geological surveys, covering more than 9,000 square kilometers. Certain exploration and geological images, development of R&D, and introduction and application of best available technologies. One of the issues that is included into this strategy includes the educational efforts to comply with international standards in this regard. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. The global statistics proves that within the last 70 years, 70% of gold reserves were found out by junior company. The number of such companies demands a critical presence of juniors in Kazakhstan. One of effective tools to improve investment attractiveness includes the Airborne Geological Service. And Alex Walker, who represents East Star Resources, who is going to talk about the forthcoming field season. Alex, the floor is yours.
It's over there.
Thank you very much, Said. We first came to Kazakhstan 3 years ago, and we met with dozens of companies and reviewed over 150 deposits. And the word for deposit in Kazakh is Месторождение, and in Russian is Месторождение. And we sat in all these meetings wondering who this terribly important person was, this Mr. Rashdini, who we're yet to meet. And 3 years on and somewhat wiser, we believe we're not far away from meeting him. So we're very much looking forward to that. Kazakhstan is Western Australia in the 1970s. I had it argued yesterday, it's even earlier. And I'll argue this point vehemently. The mineral law which changed in mid-2018 has been modelled on Western Australia's. The size of the two jurisdictions are almost exactly the same, around 2.7 million square kilometres each. And the mineral prospectivity is very much the same. And Western Australia, in a COVID-focused world, started investing in itself again a few years ago and made another at least 5 significant multi-billion-dollar discoveries. And this is probably one of the most well-explored jurisdictions globally. So when you start to realise that comparison in size and prospectivity, and that Western Australia is still making magnificent discoveries, then it starts to give you an idea of the potential of Kazakhstan, and it's why we're so excited to be here. Quickly touching on our company, we recently listed on the 10th of January on the London Stock Exchange. We hold 4 prospects, which I'll get to. We raised £3.1 million with another company that already had about £1 million, so we had circa, after all of the expenses, around $5 million in the bank. So quite a small company. We intend on spending that money in Kazakhstan very, very quickly into the ground. 4 projects in joint venture currently with Talgat Satiyev in 2 mineral districts, and I'll focus in on those very quickly with limited time. The truly orogenic gold belt was of particular interest to us based on due diligence of some other prospects. Now, this is a belt which has been drastically underexplored. Everything up until the 1970s was focused on high-grade quartz veins, which were discovered at surface, mined until they lost the vein, and everyone moved on. It wasn't until the 1980s they started looking at other host rocks, late 1970s, early 80s, and shale-hosted gold deposits started cropping up, some of which were mined, and one project in particular we looked at had a quartz vein that was running almost in parallel to quite a wide shale host, and the quartz vein was running at 1 to 2 grams and the shale was running at 8 to 12 grams. Still after that, been very little exploration in the truly orogenic gold belt. Move on to the concept of disseminated ore into host rock, which is really only just being understood, and I think our friends at Altino must have started to get a good grasp on that within their Akbakai deposit. And still, there is very little exploration in the truly orogenic gold belt. This is a belt that is more than 5 times the length of Kalgoorlie. So to think that there's 50 million ounces in this belt that's up for grabs is potentially a very drastic understatement. So we've started in two areas which are currently available to PEG, and the northern licence is called Atmintas. And you can see there that we already have what we believe the start of several fantastic meetings with Mr. Ashdini. The first one to the left is the Novo project, which we drilled in September of last year. One gold intersection in that area under an artisanal mining pit intersected 63 metres at 4.51 grams per tonne gold. I realise that's one intersection, but it's also from surface, and it also includes the last 15 metres of ore being at 0.5 grams per tonne gold and ending in mineralisation. A couple of other areas with historic drill results include Southern Shabda, some fantastic intersections there which were uncovered during our due diligence process. And something I'd like to point out is the width of these intersections, the grade of these intersections, and the proximity to surface. In Kazakhstan, which is a jurisdiction which has one of the lowest mining costs in the world to move a tonne of dirt. So to think that mines now in Western Australia and other parts of the world which have incredibly high operating costs are running mines at 1 to 1.5 grams, I think there is a huge potential across this licence for several deposits. 60% of this licence is undercover. We've recently conducted magnetics and we are deriving additional targets from that. And another perspective which we're looking to focus on is the historic deposits have been intrusive-related gold systems and shale-hosted deposits, of which we've got a good example in the next slide. And we strongly believe in the potential for classic orogenic gold deposits. So we've conducted drone magnetics, 100-metre line spacing across these areas and have developed a number of significant targets. On our Dalny licence in the south, the Ecology group of occurrences, which you can see some quite reasonable intersections, albeit fairly thin, in the northwest, northeast, was an intrusive-related gold target. The magnetics shows no structural interpretation around that area, and yet along the fault line where Akbakai has had more than 50 years of production history, there's been very little to no exploration, with two very strong, I've not updated our presentation yet, but two very strong structural controls within that region. One of the targets we have has a historical footprint of 7 by 1 kilometres of both resistivity and IP and high-grade arsenic and silver, and yet had 3 holes that was drilled before the conduct of that magnetics. So we hope there's a potential to find something very large. It's very early stage exploration, but we're incredibly excited by this belt, by this region, and by our reinterpretation of using classic orogenics in conjunction with intrusive-related gold systems. The other area we've focused on is the Rudna-Alti volcanic massive sulfide belt in the east of Kazakhstan, which I'm sure you all know very, very well. It's fairly early stage for us. The belt's been well explored. We took the approach of pegging between some of the most fantastic volcanic massive sulfide mines in the world and pegging the area that was undercover. And there has been a lot of work here, but we believe there's a very, very strong potential to do more work. And we have a heli-borne electromagnetic survey booked for commencing in July this year to commence that work. I redid the numbers this morning, and our friends at Kaz Minerals are sitting on Artemyevsky $700 a tonne in the ground for the value of their minerals today. So to make a discovery in this region, it can be both deep and small. The economic threshold for development here is incredibly low. We hope it's not going to be deep and small. We hope we've got another Artemyevsky. But you can see the prize there is absolutely outstanding, and notwithstanding some uranium mines in the north of Canada, they're some of the highest in-ground grades I think you'll see globally. Short and sharp, we're here, we're based in Kazakhstan, we're spending money. We've got 4 fantastic projects with a very great joint venture partner. We're looking to get more projects, and I hope you'll consider buying some shares in East Star Resources. We're incredibly cheap. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. однозначно хотелось бы пожелать.
Thank you, Alex. We would like to wish Star Resources Company successes in their prospecting works, and we would like to have more similar companies in Kazakhstan, both local and foreign. The next speaker is Oleg Ternoy, Director for Business Development, Central Asia and Metals. He will be talking as demand to copper will grow by 2.5 times if compared with 2020. Some people call copper a new gold, a new petroleum and metal of the future. Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Central Asian Metals started its activities with a production as a producer of copper, and it happened in 2012. And we are based here in Kazakhstan, and since that time we are successfully producing copper. Our company is not very big. Initial production capacity was about 10,000 tons per year. Now we reached new indicators up to 13.5, 14 tons per year. In accordance with mining scale, we are not a big company, but we have what to be proud of, and today I'll try to remind you or maybe inform you about this company again. Here we had at the moment the group operates in a couple countries. First of all, it's Kazakhstan, where we produce copper, and in Northern Macedonia, where we produce lead and zinc in concentrates. In Kazakhstan, it is an object called Konrad project CCW. In Northern Macedonia, it is Sasa mine. I'll not focus on all the details of every mine, but you can see it later in our presentations if you wish so. What is Konrad project? Konrad is a non-typical mining object. Why it is non-typical? Actually, we are not performing Earth operations typical for mining. We do not digging, we are not moving rock mass, we are doing heap leaching on site. And it has significant impact on construction, on the facility, and it has significant impact on production cost. Our production cost is the lowest in the sector all over the globe. What we can be proud of in the most recent years, starting since 2012 when we started our facility, we are a stable operator, and by the end of the first year of operation we reached design capacity, and we are continuing our operations smoothly. We have produced, and on the 29th of March, the group has published the outcomes of its work for 2021. We have produced more than 124,000 tons of copper in Konrad, and our revenues exceeded $164 billion in equivalent, and we are proud. And we are proud to be a real corporate citizen of the country. More than $190 million have been paid as taxes, and we established more than 300 jobs.
More than 400, in fact, given our subcontracts who work with us. In addition to taxes, we also try to return, so to say, or to pay back to our community who work with us and who serve as a source of our labor resources. Let me speak about the characteristics of our production capacity. The first diagram shows that during the latest 6 years, we have been pretty stable in terms of growth. During the first years, that you see in the lowest here relates to the fact that we started our operation in the end of the first quarter. And later, like I said, from 10,000 initially, later we reached 14,000 tons per annum average. And since then, we've been progressing despite of challenges that we faced during the first years because we operated on acidated material, which works better for leaching. It was easier for us. Now we have mixed and sulfide materials, and we still use well-known in the world technologies to support the high volumes of production. And some of you even may argue that they are not typical for this kind of material, this type of material. Here is the slide showing how we achieve this high production level. So this is the base of this is the type of irrigation that we apply, and then we continue with the leaching processes, which allow us to achieve quite high level of production output. Our leftovers and reserves estimate. Let me briefly describe the technology that we apply. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this technology. Let me just say that what we are doing is compliant with our production plans, and we produce quite a significant amount of resources, and it is compliant with the life cycle and end of the life cycle of our project, and we work on surplus of resources and reserves. Safety is the key topic for everyone, including ourselves, and we pay a lot of attention to this. We are pretty proud of our efforts. In more than 1,400 days without injuries leading to loss of jobs. It's what we have so far since the last incident that took place several years ago. Another important aspect we strongly believe and strongly support our community where we work and where we live, among whom we live. We established a corporate foundation, Conrad. It's a charity foundation. It's an open foundation, although it's corporate per se. And it's open for anyone who is willing to contribute, to donate. It was established, first of all, to reintegrate to some extent, and also to preserve some funds once we conclude our projects. Most of our donations are intended for infrastructure facilities. You all know how they demand it. And within the last 2 years, we spent quite a lot to counter pandemic. It's been successful because we developed a continuity plan for businesses, which allowed us, despite of the pressure that we all experienced, allowed us to operate continuously without interruptions. So environment and environmental aspects, our approaches to these aspects is one of our serious priorities. And what we are doing, hydrometallurgical technologies by nature are quite dangerous for the environment. But we've created, and we are proud that we established a very powerful, in fact, powerhouse of environmental service, which enables a minimum environmental imprint in the area, in the region where we operate. There are some other things that I wanted to highlight, and this includes the climate change and use of energy. They speak a lot about transition to green energy and reduction of hydrocarbon imprints. Let me simply say that from our experience, very simple things which are pretty inexpensive may bring quite a significant impact. And our experience is a proof of that. Using such simple things as coverage of the moisturized areas in wintertime allow us to generate sufficient heat to maintain the required temperature for our solutions. And if you have a technical mindset and common sense, even without capital costs, you will achieve a lot. You will be able to achieve a lot. Couple of words about our team. We have, in fact, only one expatriate who works in Kazakhstan, and he is a director on sustainable development. Other employees are Kazakhstani citizens, and we are proud of that fact. We try to hire local skilled labor in order to be able to bring local content and also to make sure we are backed up in terms of skilled professionals in the company. More than 20% of our employees are female. Each fifth actually is a female who work on key positions, and we also support the gender issue a lot, trying to provide best labor conditions to our women. And last comment, in mining sector, the role of women has been continuously increasing. It turned out that many women appear to perform even better compared with male administrative employees, and I'm proud to say that we sponsored the mentorship program in mining sector. One of our employees participated in this program, and I would like to recommend each of you to pay attention to this program because it improves gender equality aspects, and ultimately the company benefits because of the growth of competences, improvement of competences. With that, let me conclude. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please, you're welcome. Thank you. Copper will play the ground role for renewable technologies. To avoid deficit, you have to invest into geological survey and new projects and develop technologies to increase outputs. These works are quite costly because between the initial phase and production, it takes years. Voisey's Bay, for example, which was explored in 1993, only in 2006 the pilot phase began. The next speaker is Director on Investment, Mr. Nariman Absametov, who will speak about geological exploration, investments and costs. Thank you very much. A very interesting topic. We think that it's about costs, but our resources capital group within the last decade has been proving that you still can get benefits, earn and create value. We were established in 2012. We have 8 projects in our portfolio. We launched 2 plants. Resources Capital Group is the first junior company which brought to two mining companies, and now we have 8 ongoing projects in our portfolio. We take projects at the early development stage, starting from the field work, and continue on this value-creating path. And we're proud that we found in Kazakhstan 2 deposits. One of them includes Aurora Minerals, which we took from the fields. In this year, we are going to have our first cut-on copper. Our portfolio includes 7 projects, as you see from these slides, focusing on different metals, including copper, iron ore, gold. We see a lot of potential in development of rare metals. It's not quite popular in the country, but we give good prospects to wolframium markets. Kazakhstan, according to official resources, is #1 in the world in terms of its reserves. In China, probably they are higher, but this is a confidential data. But we do not produce anything. So RCG company, we want to make corrections in the situation and give an impulse to the development of this industry. On the previous slide, I wanted to show and to focus on adding value in mining companies. The earlier and the less prepared the project is, the lesser estimated it is, the less value it has. McKinsey produced this diagram, which shows that at the scoping phase, the market can pay for copper assets only 1 cent for copper in money equivalents. And once the project achieves the production phase, the value is 14 times higher. It means that this path between the survey to production may achieve 14 times growth. I don't know any other area which yields that much. Another one, the company Refinitiv prepared the graph on the right side, showing how the value against MPV is estimated starting from scoping and resource definition, where investors are ready to pay 0.007 of NPV, and going to production with 0.84. Roughly speaking, if you multiply, it gives you a tenfold growth. In Kazakhstan, because we don't have the final stage plants, but my colleagues mentioned that they are available for scoping, for survey. We expect that with appearance of the National Geological Database and availability of information from Geological Service based on service model, increase of these costs and ROE will go up as well. Now let me show you a global benchmark and our company, Capital Resources Group, how we add value. It is important to go through stage gate in a fast way, starting from the field works and going to production. McKinsey estimates that the average life cycle of a project starting from the early field time going to production totals varies between 10 to 15 years, which envisages all these phases that you see here: pre-feasibility, technological surveys, and so on, project design documentation, construction works, and production of product. You can imagine it will take 10 to 15 years. RCG is very proud that our project Berkara that we acquired in 2014 as a greenfield, after drilling works, after technological solution, and completion of construction phase, we expect to produce the first product. And it took us now 8.5 years, meaning that for us, for our investors, we created even better return of investments, and we actually beat the benchmark, the average global benchmark. I'm confident that the other companies who apply similar standards will do the same. How we achieve this? It's a gradual work and engagement of all international best practices, including project management solutions. It's better measure 10 times and cut once. Planning is the key for project management and stage gate processes. You cannot move to another phase without completing the previous one. It looks longer, but thanks to that, you ensure the quality and avoid delays in further steps. And this creates the value for a company, for its employees, and so on. Therefore, we believe that best practices and investment into development of human capital brings a lot of return to your investments. I think I exhausted my time. Colleagues, if you have any questions, we are open for cooperation with both international and Kazakhstani companies in the projects in the mining sector. Thank you. Thank you, Nariman. And with that, we conclude our session, and we are even taking some of your lunch time, but we still have one question left. My name is Daniel Serikov, and I am a journalist for Kazakh 24. You mentioned
So I would like to find out from Geology Committee of Kazgeology when the database of Kazakhstan will be started, and I had some misunderstanding on the aggregation of Kazgeoinform and Kazgeology, and when these two entities will join together. We have representative of Kazgeoinform, the chair of Kazgeology, who will be who will be responding on this question. As for national database, I would like to tell you, no, the system is very complex. It has huge massive of information, both geological information that includes reports since 1980 up to present time, and we have difficulties, as Talgat mentioned, consortia represented by Kaztelecom carries out these works, and in accordance with the plans, national database will be established in July this year. As for joining Kazgeology and Kazgeoinformation, we do not have any conflicts and any misconceptions. Both entities will be united in the same company, and actually both companies will be liquidated. And while first we talk about Kazgeoinform, it is related to the fact that all geological forms belong to Kazgeology. It is strategic object, and on top of generally available geological information, we keep secret and confidential geological information. That is why the government made a decision to reorganize Kazgeoinformation Forum and turn it to National Geological Service, and then Kazgeology will join it. Now we are taking effort on reorganization, and we are going through all necessary procedures, and it is planned that the first stage will be completed in June this year, and in September we'll join with Kazgeology. And we have time for one more question. I would like to give an analogy on public company discovery management and Kazgeology. Discovery manager does exploration on investor's account and publishes its results openly. Geophysics of the projects, information on drilling, information of holes, and the same done on budget projects. Is it possible to give the same set of information because you are a public company and you are working on taxes? Could you provide the same outcomes? Geophysical operations have been carried out and you issued press release. It's a couple pages. We discuss this issue every year, but every year nothing changes. And that would allow us to better inform investors as well as servicing company. And that would also allow them to understand the complexity of geology. Was it a task or a suggestion or a question? It was a recommendation. The recommendation to have more publicity. I think all of us want some more openness from the Committee of Geology and National database. We are thankful to all the speakers, we are thankful to all the delegates, and we wish you fruitful participation in the forum. And the next stop is a lunch break.